when they can't make sumo. You get your friends together and you fake some sumo. Hey, 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 hey. It's the not so basho. Not so basho, basho, yeah, yeah. Not so basho. Not so basho, yeah.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Fleric.
And this is Matt.
And this is our first of two Midway episodes that we are doing for the Not So Basho. We're going to do it in two different ways since we're really the only ones with eyes on this. We just wanted to break it out into 5-day chunks so people will get a better feel of how the tournament is going. So after 5 days, we have a surprise leader. That is Ishira is the sole undefeated Rikishi at 5-0.
What do you mean surprising? I always believed in him.
It's true that you always believed in him, but it was more of a meme than anything else. You believed in his traps. The rest of him, I'm not sure how much you believed.
I was going to say, what exactly did you believe about him?
Yeah, the traps, that's mostly it.
His decks were all really nice.
They are prodigious traps.
So, a very surprising start for Ishira, but he should not rest on his laurels quite yet, as it is only the 1/3 point, and he has, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 Rikishi behind him at 4-1, including his stablemate Hakuho, and then we also have Mitakayumi surprising Takayasu in the Joy with a very good start. Kagayaki, Tokushoryu looking to capture that Hatsu magic again. Shima no Umi, Takayasu, Jake.
Oh yeah, no, this one's going great for me. I'm happy.
Koto Shogiku and Nishikigi. So let's keep talking about Ishira. He's just looking fantastic out on the dohyo right now. He is out small guying Enho right now, which is very impressive.
Considering he's taller, yes, quite impressive.
Yeah, I think he's kind of had a fire lit under him after having all this Enho like hype the last handful of bashos, and he was like, "Oh man, like I want all this like fame and success." And so I think he's been hitting the gym. He's been hitting his traps to kind of do much better, and it's showing like in his style in the ring. It's fantastic.
And his traps.
Yeah,
they're just on point this tournament.
Especially his traps.
Yeah, he might also be going for a technique prize in this tournament because he is not winning very many matches with just typical Kimarite. He's won by Sukui Nage. He's got a couple Tsuki Otoshi. He's got a Shitate Hineri in there. So his sumo has been very impressive, and he's taken out some much larger guys than himself, such as Chiyo Taidyu. A little bit of a hanka on day one on that one, but I mean, Chiyo Taidyu just bulldozes in there. So what are you going to do?
If you're going for the technique prize, you have to have a wide berth of different techniques. So
yeah, exactly. You got to read your opponent.
You got to be strong physically and mentally. And what's stronger mentally than a well-timed hanka?
Indeed.
I think one thing that's stronger than a well-timed hanka is like everything going perfectly your way when all of the judges are taking the day off.
Yeah. So, why don't you go more into that now, Jake?
Okay, I had it under our Kaisei section of this, but yeah, let's talk about day 5 and the match with Kaisei, because that one, it was a mess.
Day 5 all on its own was a mess, but this one really took the cake.
Oh yeah, I think that there's been a lot of talk about ring rust for the wrestlers because of the extra time off and like their restrictions on training and things like that. You know, less contact, but I think the extra time off probably also hurt the judging because we've had a handful of mono-iis, and Ishira over Kaisei on day 5 was the biggest mess of all of it. So basically, the first attempt at making sumo happen, Ishira and Kaisei, they came at each other. It was a solid. They both got belt grips as they tend to, and they both went to the clay. The Gyoji, and I don't know. I kind of agree with the Gyoji, but he first pointed to Ishira.
I thought it was fairly clear Ishira won that, but there might have been like some dead body rule going into play we don't know about.
I don't know. It was at least close. We can certainly admit that it was close.
Yes.
So apparently the judges thought it was closer than some of the commentators here, because we were all surprised to see them ordering a rematch. So they fight again, and for the second time, they both grapple. They do pretty well here. And here, I'm just going to let Bruce's commentary take over. Let me read an excerpt from the Tachiai blog. With Ishira latched firmly onto Kaisei's belt and his head buried deep in the big man's belly, they both lost balance and stepped over the bales. What do we get? Another black robe huddle at the Shikiri-sen, but this time the Gumbai was overruled. So yeah, this time in their second match, the Gumbai, the Gyoji, pointed to Kaisei and they overturned it in a conference. So Ishira won kind of both matches. I think in the Tori no Oshi, we all agree that Ishira should have gotten it, and that was probably just a flustered Gyoji getting that one wrong and pointing to Kaisei. But yeah, I think that particular match is kind of like the poster child for some of the judging. There have been a lot more mono-i's this time around than there often are.
Yeah, you hope they tighten that up as the days go on, but I mean that 2-week delay, it affected the Rikishi, and apparently it's affected the judging as well.
Yeah, and I don't know the specifics of how Gyojis train in between bashos. Like, I'm sure they do something, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe they had restrictions on how they stay in top mental shape there, and maybe something was interfering, but I don't know. Regardless, it's been kind of wonky.
Definitely. Something else that's, I guess not wonky. I think it's probably wonky that both Yokozuna are still in this basho, seeing as they both completed the last one. We'll see about Kakuryu. But both have gone down and both lost on day 5. Hakuho lost for the second straight tournament in a row against Onosho. Mac, what are your thoughts about Onosho beating Hakuho for the second straight time?
I want to say that there's an element of luck, but then again, I know we have discussed that Hakuho's power is definitely starting to wane. I'm thinking that Onosho might have, found some of that power that Hakuho has just been bleeding off. Clearly, nobody else has gotten even a whiff of this power, because Onosho's beaten him 2 straight tournaments. I mean, 2 times he's faced him in the tournaments. Fantastic. Well done, Onosho, and glad to see that he's got a little bit of a fire underneath him.
That evens them up at 2-2 all time.
Yeah, after that 0-3 start for Onosho, he has picked up wins the last 2 days, one against Oki no Umi. Poor Oki no Umi.
No, let's not bring that one up, please.
And then against Hakuho. So maybe the first 3 losses is just typical Onosho, where he takes some time for him to get his feet underneath of him, quite literally. But now that he's gotten there, maybe we'll see him rattle off a few consecutive victories.
Yeah, I think it's a very good sign that he's like winning like hard matches. It's either a testament that his body's there and his mental is like not quite there, or his like mental is able to like push him above to like meet those good matches, but his body's not quite there. So I'll kind of want to watch this to see how it goes, but I think it's very promising to kind of see Onosho pull out these kimboshis.
One other thing I wanted to add, this after March and the first third of this tournament, I've kind of gotten used to not having the fans there. It's not quite as jarring as it was like at the beginning of the March tournament, where like, not having fans there made it feel like a completely different thing. But this is one of the times on this day where both Yokozuna lost back to back. I really wish there were fans there just to like see what would they have done if they'd already thrown their pillows.
Well, no.
We had already thrown all of our pillows,
but we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a big deal for us because we can just reach over to the next box and grab some pillows from there. But like, what if like it was a full tournament and there was everybody there and everybody like totally just totally throws all their pillows and they're totally out now. And then in the next match, I guess only the people in like the front few rows who had like pillows thrown to them, I guess, could throw. I don't know. I think it would have been really funny.
I can only imagine that there's ushers at the Koguki-Con that have like spare pillows next to them, and then they hand them out while like they're doing the parade of sponsorships in a normal tournament. And so they just hand out the pillows in case there is another reason to throw your pillows.
That's
They
a
could
really
also
good point.
maybe have a giant net like above the Kokuki-Con that's full of pillows that they just unleash, so it just like rains down.
Cascade of pillows.
Like the confetti when like a basketball team wins a title or something like that.
Yes.
Exactly.
And Fleric, don't think I don't know exactly what you're doing, and that's delaying us talking about Kakuryu, who has lost 2 out of his last 3 matches. And I know we discussed in our preview episode of if Kakuryu's 12-3 record in the Haru Basho kind of gives him a little bit of leeway for this one for doing well. He has a 3-2 record, but losing 2 out of 3 to Takara Fuji and Takanosho. I mean, should Kakuryu pull out at this point, or what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think I went hard in the preview saying that this is a make or break basho for Kakuryu. So I think he needs to stick it out. Even though it's not looking too good, normally I think if maybe we see like 1 or 2 more losses, this is usually one the Yokozuna kind of point to one of their like lingering injuries they had in the past decade and pull out. But I don't know. Like I think he has to stick it out.
I hope so, because he's my champ in our fantasy sumo.
Pull out.
But yeah,
pull
this
out.
has happened.
Oh God, I can't say that. No.
This is this has happened before to him, though. I think we were just curious, so we looked it up, and yeah, it has happened in the past where he personally has lost 2 times in the first 5 days and has stuck it out. But not every time. You know, it certainly wouldn't be uncharacteristic for him to call it quits here, but he has in the past stuck it out in this same situation.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking that if he gets 1 more loss in the next 2 or 3 days, he's probably going to be pulling out. He's going to be out of the Yusho race at this point. I mean, nobody's touching Ishira, so.
Oh, obviously. Ishira, the guy who doesn't even have to face Hakuho to win it.
Exactly. It's the whole thing's rigged for the Miyagino
I was
stable.
about to say, it's like, does that make it, does that cheapen the victory? I mean, victory is a victory, granted, but if you don't fight Hakuho to get the victory, then should it go to Onosho or the next guy down?
I think that would have been a better argument during the late 1990s, because I think, wasn't that when like Takanohana's stable like was Yokozuna and Ozeki's and they never had to face anybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy time where I think a lot of the Yokozuna and the Ozekis never had to face each other's. So surprise, surprise, like a lot of people from that Heya were the Yusho winners during that time.
Yeah.
And then there was Akebono who had to beat everyone to win.
And beat them he did, like a drum.
Yes.
So yeah. It's starting to kind of start like that. We have like the Beast Ishira, we have the lovable babe Endo, and then we have Hakuho. Like, they're going to be Ozeki before we know it, and it's going to be a very similar situation.
Wow.
And I'm sure there's a 4th guy somewhere.
Hakuho has plenty of Uchi Deshi in the lower ranks, just itching to get their way into the Sekitori ranks.
I bet they're all tiny baby men.
Oh no, there's one guy, his name's like Toma, something close to that. It's probably not exactly that, but it's close to that, and he is a mountain of a man. He's a big fluffy boy.
We talking Ichinojo or we talking Chiyomaru?
No. This is a guy who's probably either Sandanme or Makushita right now. I don't remember, but he is in the Miyagino stable. He's Hakuho's Uchideshi, one of them, and he's just huge, absolutely mountainous. But yeah, so besides that 1 loss for Hakuho, he has looked utterly dominant. I think we do need to talk about him just eating the ever-loving piss out of Endo on day 2. He's still very angry about his loss in the Hatsuba show, and he gave Endo the business quite a bit. Not only did he give him the harite at the beginning of the match, but he also got a right elbow right into Endo's face.
Ugh.
And then, it wasn't long after that where Hakuho got him down for the win with an Uwate Nage. But yeah, Hakuho clearly still holding a grudge against Endo.
Well, wouldn't you?
Hey, real quick, sorry to go back here, but I looked it up. Toma, you got the name right.
Sweet.
He is in Sandanme. Let's compare him to Ichinojo right now, though. He is about 3 inches shorter than Ichinojo, so he's not like super
Okay.
tall or anything. but he's about 30 kilos heavier than Ichinojo.
Oh Lord!
Well, saying he's 3 inches shorter than Ichinojo doesn't necessarily mean he's not a tall man, because Ichinojo, when he's in the Makuuchi division, is the tallest guy in the Makuuchi division.
Actually, Kaisei is taller.
Is Kaisei taller?
Mm-hmm.
Kaisei is sneakily tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that
I don't
top
think
notch.
I've
It's the
ever-
Chonmage.
I don't think I've ever heard that description before, but it absolutely works.
They
So-
don't call him Big Dan for no reason.
No,
They don't call him Big Dan at all. You're right.
I was about to say that's Oyama, dude.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Kaisei is Big Ricardo.
Ricardo, that's the one.
Let's talk about a guy who's struggling about as much as Fleric is right now.
Uh-oh.
And that's Takayasu getting off to another slow start. He is 2-3 while he is Kadoban. I mean, it's only the first 5 days, but these are some of the easiest matches that Takayasu is going to have. Are you guys worried that Takayasu is going to drop from the Ozeki rank for his second time?
His schedule's only going to get harder from here. So, I don't know. I hope he can pull it through.
I mean, he has the exact same record that he had in Haru at this point, a 2-3 record after day 5, where he finished with a 7-8 record. So, I don't know. It's looking more and more like people are figuring out his style. He was able to get his wave action Supari in at least one match this basho, but people have been able to get to his belt and take him out. Like even Kiri Bayama on day 5 was able to take Takayasu out by getting to his belt early, and then once you get there, Takakasho's toast.
Kiribayama didn't even have to spin Takayasu around to beat him.
Yeah. That's how bad it was for Takayasu.
He didn't even have to use his ultimate move or anything like that. He just Uwate Nage to him right to the ground.
Yeah. Let's go around real quick. It's still early. Fleric, do you think Takayasu will turn it around and get his Kachikoshi to remain at Ozeki?
I think deep down, I think a lot of this at the top sports comes down to mental, and I do think Takayasu has proved that he has the mental game to bring it when it counts. I think to save his Kadoban, he's relatively healthy. He definitely is looking a little bit like he has some injuries, but I think he's going to bring it when he needs to, and he's going to get at least 8 wins, but probably not much more.
How about you, Mac?
I'm betting on a 9-6. I think he's going to drop maybe one more odd one, and then of course, depending on the other Yokozuna, if they're going to stay in, or if Asanoyama continues to get his act together, who knows? I'm counting those as current losses for now, so I'm still saying he drops another odd one here, but I think he'll end up with a 9-6.
Yeah, whether or not Kakuryu pulls out or not is going to be a big.
I agree.
Big determining factor on this.
That's that. Yeah, Fleric, you brought up the thing I was going to mention. Like if Kakuryu doesn't stick around, if Kakuryu's in worse shape than he really looks like right now, that'll be a big help. But I think no matter what, we are going to find out if Takayasu stays in Ozeki on day 15. I think he's just gonna split hairs the entire way, and we're gonna have him 7-7. Who would he traditionally just face the other Ozeki in this kind of a situation?
Yeah, that should be a matchup against Asanoyama. It depends on where the Yusho race is, because
that's true.
This last one, Takayasu didn't face both of the Yokozuna because he was out of the Yusho race, and those guys were both in it, so they wanted to match up the Yokozuna against other higher Rikishi that were doing better in that basho. But typically,
keep you on the edge of your seat.
It's a long way of saying typically, yes, he would face
right.
Asanoyama on day 15.
If everything goes according to plan and that's his day 15 matchup, that's going to suck for Takayasu. I mean, man, I gotta say I'm kind of skeptical, but I am hopeful because I mean we make no secret that he's one of the guys that we really like. But yeah, I'm super on the fence, and I tend towards pessimism in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't see him. I just can't imagine him losing his Ozeki rank again already. And so I just see him eking out an 8-7. I think he probably gets to 8-6 and then loses day 15 to Asanoyama. I just think Asanoyama's on a different level than Takayasu right now, whether it's due to injuries on Takakasho's part or Asanoyama just being a better Rikishi at this point in their careers. But I do think Takayasu ekes it out, and hopefully another couple months rest, no Jungyo tour, kind of gets him over the lingering issues we've seen with him. But I do think he finds a way to get that winning record. Let's talk about Asanoyama a little bit more now. Gave us a bit of a scare on day one. He lost his opening match. Let's see to who that was. Takayasu, yeah. And we're going to get to Takayasu pretty soon and how much he's been impressing us. But Asanoyama's 3-2 out of the gates for his first basho as an Ozeki, which, I mean, there's always, you hear the talk about the like Ozeki promotion hangover. So maybe we're just seeing a little bit of that out of Asanoyama, but I think he can turn it around, turn it on for the final 10 days. And if not, get in the Yusho race, kind of be in that area and still get to double-digit wins.
Hey, he shook off the sake barrel stands. He's okay now. He just had one bad day. It's okay. He'll be fine.
Oh, he had 2 bad days.
Okay, 2 bad days. Hey, those sake barrel stands take a little while to shake off, particularly when you do them one day after another. It's okay.
Especially when you've invented the entire concept of a sake barrel stand.
Yeah, he's a young Ozeki, you know, like they have some wild games nowadays in the sumo heias.
But yeah, I think that I'm a lot more optimistic than I am against Takayasu. I mean, they're only 1 win apart, but like
the way they've looked, though.
The way they've looked is a wider gap than the 1 win. And I mean, Daisho, there's just like the classic 3 or 4 days of tournament where Daisho turns into a Yokozuna, you know, like, and then
Daisho has Asanoyama's number. Daisho is now 8-4 against Asanoyama.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's got an advantage there. But yeah, I think
we have to acknowledge
what's the most recent 4 or 5 on that matchup?
I'll let Jake do that research because I'm sure he's already like halfway into it.
Yeah, because I think even though that's a very lopsided matchup, I think Asanoyama definitely upped his game like in the last 6 months or so. So I will be surprised if it's not kind of favored towards Asanoyama in the recent.
Yep. So the first time they met, Daisho won, or excuse me, Asanoyama won, and then Daisho got 7 in a row.
Oh wow!
And then Asanoyama got 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So in the last 6 months or so, Asanoyama's has beaten him the last 3 times. But yeah, there was a while where it was just completely one-sided.
Let's move on. I think it all sounds like we're thinking we're not worried about Asanoyama at all.
No, I mean, for Asanoyama, it's not does he go Kadoban or not. It's more like, is he in the Yusho race or not? Like, can he keep it to just those 2 wins and stick with it and stay in the conversation until late? Yeah, I'm not worried about a Makekoshe from him at all.
Yeah, same here. So let's talk about the Yusho race. As early as it is, it's still day 5, but here we are podcasting about sumo. So what else are we going to talk about? So I had mentioned that there are 9 people chasing Ishira right now, and we've already talked about Hakuho. I think we all agree Hakuho is in the Yusho race. He's a legit contender. But let's just do real quick buy or sell on the next 8 guys. And so I'll just ask one of you, buy or sell, and then we'll move on to the next Rikishi, unless somebody has a really dire point that they need to get in there. So we'll start with Fleric. Mitake Yumi, buy or sell as a legit contender for the Yusho Basho.
A lit contender. I think I like
lit contender. Lit. He could be lit.
Dude, he is lit. He is straight fire. Mitake Yumi, buy. Invest everything right now.
All right, Mac, what about Takayasu, who already has a Kinboshi and a win over Asanoyama?
I'll sell. I think the flame has burned bright. It was a wonderful start, definitely impressive, but now that the heat's turned up, I don't think he can keep it up.
Jake, Kagayaki, you're in a auspicious position here as you chose him to be your chump. So we'll see how biased you can be here.
Oh, I can
unbiased.
Get pretty. No, I don't intend to go unbiased here. No, I'm gonna sell on Kagayaki. He beat Shodai and he beat a struggling Enho. But the other most legit guy he's faced is Hokuto Fuji, who made him look silly. I don't know. It's only going to get more difficult for Kagayaki, especially if Kakuryu drops out and he's got to face the rest of the guys in the Joy.
Yeah. Has Kagayaki faced any of the Yokozuna yet? I can't quite remember.
In his career, I don't think so.
No, just in this basho. No.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
The highest he's fought is a Sekiwake, and he's going to have those Yokozuna matches coming up.
Is he? Oh, I see. Yeah, I forgot how we only have 8 people in the Sanyaku. So yeah, he is fully in the Joy, and he does still have all the hard matches coming up for the Yokozuna and Ozeki.
Yep. All right, Fleric, Tokushoryu, can lightning strike twice?
Oh, well, I think it was his first day one match. We started seeing kind of the stuff happening. What happened when he won his Yusho of just kind of shuffling back and getting a nice little takikomi going on. So he's like one win off, and like he won his last match against Hakuho. I am starting to feel pretty good about Tokushoryu. I think maybe not.
I don't think Tokushoryu beat Hakuho. He beat Kakuryu last time.
Kakuryu. Okay. So, this changes my math. Okay, maybe not sell the house, but definitely buy a little bit. Like, if nothing else, just because
maybe hold.
Tokushoryu. Hold the shells. I buy a little bit. I'm gonna stick my buy a little bit because I didn't know hold was an option.
All right, I'm gonna switch up the order that I've been going for these next two guys to avoid.
No, I want to do Takayasu.
No, Jake first. Who is Shima no Umi? And second, do you buy or sell him as a legit Yusho contender?
I think he's a legit Yusho contender because that lucky son of a bitch doesn't have to face Tokushoryu. They're in the same stable. So it's basically a clear sailing from here. No, I don't think that he has a whole lot of a chance. He's probably going to be, I don't know. I see him as like the potential special prize winner kind of guy, but like, that surprises us from lower Maegashira, but
maybe like Aoyama last time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sell him on getting anything more than a special prize. I don't think he'll get a Jun Yusho even or anything like that.
All right, Mac, you can talk about Takayasu looking a lot better than we expected. Is he a legit Yusho contender?
Buy that man more and more. Definitely. I like the fact that he is taking advantage of being lower on the ranks. I think he has fully recovered at this point. I think he is ready to eat these lower ranked Rikishi for breakfast.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore with that. And I think he's going to get a little bit lucky with his schedule, and he might face some guys that are lower ranked than him. More than you would typically expect, because there's a lot of Kotos underneath of him that are lower ranked that can't face each other. So they got to like go up, mine the higher ranked guys to face those. So Takayasu might be replacing some matches with higher ranked guys with lower ranked Kotos. So that could also help him out here.
Absolutely.
Let's put the brakes on the conversation here for now and go more in depth on Takayasu, because he was a guy that we were all worried about. He's had that elbow injury since July of last year, that Kote Nage against
the
Tamawashi.
day that we were there live.
The day that broke Jake's heart.
Yep. The worst day of my life was the day that I saw Sumo live, because Takayasu got injured.
We've seen that Kotanage from Tamawashi back in action. But he also had that knee injury in his match against Kakuryu in the previous basho. But here he is at Maegashira 13, and he's starting to look like his old self.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. He's got the shoulder blast back. He's getting his full heavy Tachi eyes going again. That's good to see.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I've been waiting for with his recoveries, is we just haven't seen those effective shoulder blasts yet. So whatever injury that he had suffered from there obviously has been recovered. His knees are actually looking somewhat pretty good. So let's keep that going. Just keep it rolling.
Yeah, now, I think it was amazing where even like with a really bad elbow injury, he was still getting like some wins in the Joy against like the top people in the Sumo. So I think the fact that he's kind of dropped down to a lower Banzuke and like kind of an easier schedule, I think that's been helping them out a lot. Also with, like Mac was saying, recovering from his injury a little bit.
Now, this might be putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but let's just say Takayasu wins this Yusho. Is it a little bit tainted in your mind, knowing that he's an Ozeki level talent, but he's down here in the lower Maegashira ranks? Jake?
I don't think it's tainted, because there are plenty of times that somebody will have a handful of soft matchups in the beginning of the tournament, And the middle act, maybe we're not so sure, but if he stays in the Yusho race until the final 5 days, the final act, he will absolutely have to earn it. So I think if he goes up against guys in the Sanyaku or at least the Joy for like at least those last 5 days, I don't think there's any asterisk there. Like Tokushoryu won from a much lower position, and he didn't face top guys until very late. So yeah, I wouldn't put an asterisk on it. Also because he's my favorite guy, and everyone knows that. But in my purely objective position here, I think he is going to win everything forever.
All right, let's get the. Oh, Flair, you have a point there.
That also kind of implies that maybe Tokushoryu's Yusho has an asterisk, which I don't appreciate, Ryan.
No, the only reason I say that is because Takayasu is a former Ozeki, and so he should be at the top facing all of the hard people, where down here he's feasting on a bunch of Kotos that don't belong anywhere near the Joy at this time. So that's the only reason why I would bring it up.
Still in the mix there, Ryan. Just a little bit further down. I think we'll talk about him a little later.
Yeah. I think he's earned his buffet of Kotos. Let's see how it goes.
Hey, last point before we move on to the next guy. There's going to be there's a ton of former Ozeki matchups at the bottom of the Bansuke. And I think that's really cool. We got Tochinoshin, Koto Shogaku, Takayasu, and Terano Fuji, who are all former Ozeki down at the bottom half of this Bansuke.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really weird to see these. Yeah, like we were looking at some matchups. I'm going to bring up Takayasu's again. I thought it was kind of funny.
At Jake, I was like, no, there are plenty of former Ozekis down there.
But yeah, it was so like we were looking through the day-to-day head-to-head matchups, and on day 4, it's like, oh, this matchup is like 5-1, or this one is like 5-4 or something. And then somehow out of nowhere, in the bottom of the Bansuke, there's Takayasu 15-12 over Koto Shogaku historically. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, so we've already seen a few of those matchups happen, and Koto Shogaku is undefeated against former Ozeki, as he has picked up wins against Takayasu and Terano Fuji on the past 2 days.
Only Tochinoshin left to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tochinoshin has yet to have any of these matchups, but I assume we'll get a couple of those mixed in there at some point. But let's take the brakes off. Let's get back going on this buy-sell train. And Fleric, we just talked about the guy Koto Shogaku. Buy or sell legit Yusho contender. Sorry, lit Yusho contender.
Lit Yusho. I think he is a lock for against the Ozeki matchups down, that former Ozeki matchups down below. But I just don't see another Yusho in him. So I sell.
All right, and Mac, Nishikigi, is he a buy or sell legit Yusho contender?
Sell for the love of God, sell.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to dive any more into that.
Thank
he's
you.
like 5-1 though. He's having a good show.
I know that, and it's not that I have anything personal against Nishikigi. Obviously, he's doing well, but I just have nothing. He's unremarkable. I mean, no offense to any of the Nishikigi fans out there. He's gonna have to keep fighting his way up, and I just don't think he's got it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Nishikigi right now. I didn't notice this. He is the Oshi master this basho. He has 4 out of 5 wins by Oshi Dashi, and then his one loss. Well, sorry, all 4 of his wins are Oshi Dashi, and then his one loss against Kotoyuki was an Oshi Taoshi.
Ooh.
Wow.
So this
What
game,
the hell?
he has a game plan in mind, and he's executing in his matches, which is kind of what we saw from Tokushoryu, where he had like 6 straight wins by Tsukio Toshi, I think, in his Yusho when he was kind of at this level of the Bansuke. So I don't know. Maybe we got to look out for Nishikigi, but also don't. He's not going to win.
Yes.
I just realized another reason that Tokushoryu's Yusho win upsets me, because we have to talk about it like every basho for the rest of our lives.
I know.
We will be like,
beautiful.
yeah, we'll be on like day 8, and like one of the guys who's won off the lead is like right at the bottom, and like obviously he's not going to win it, but every single basho for the rest of our lives will be like, yeah, but Tokushoryu, I don't know.
Yeah, but where were you when Tokushoryu won this Yusho?
laughing on my couch.
I think we all were laughing, and then we
Yeah.
all shut up after that.
Yep, it's gonna be awful, but it's also gonna make us happy when we remember his super ugly crying face. At least
He
for
won
me.
the heart of so many.
At least for me, I'm going to be happy every time I remember that, Jake.
Let's move on and talk about some guys that are not doing very well this basho. Somebody who I think we all agree, if he were anybody except Ikioi, would have pulled out after the first day, as his day one matchup was against Tamawashi. And it's been a little while. I think it's been since that Takayasu match, Jake, but that Kotenage came out and clearly tweaked something in Ikioi's arm. He came out the next day. He had his elbow wrapped up and was pretty much useless for the next 4 days, although he did manage to pick up a win against Tochinoshin, who is clearly facing some struggles himself.
Yeah, I think it's the funniest thing to watch Ikioi. He's definitely getting a beating this time. He got a huge injury from the looks of it from Tamawashi on his elbow, and he is just continuing to be beat up day and day. And since we know that this is Ikioi, there's no way that he's going to pull out, because he is a Iron Man of sumo, and he's going to stick around.
It is his biggest trait, his biggest individual trait that separates him from anybody else, is that he will never, ever pull out despite being on the verge of death.
Yeah. And then somehow still getting a win or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might start seeing him get the Yoshikaze treatment, which is like, you're clearly hurt, so I'm going to get you out of this ring as quickly as possible, but it's also going to be very gentle, and I'm going to make sure you don't fall out of the dohyo.
Yeah, Okinoumi is getting a couple of those this tournament.
Yeah. Once again, we'll get to him, but yeah. Actually, let's get to him now. Okinoumi, 0-5. Ouch.
Yes.
I'm going to sell as a legit Yucho vendor on Okinoumi.
What? You can't sell anything. There's nothing left.
Sweet Lord.
So yeah, he has been bothered, I think, from that opening matchup against Hakuho, where, I mean, Hakuho is now 23-1 against Okinoumi, but I think something got tweaked in that match, because ever since then, it's exactly like the Yoshikaze thing. It's either Yorikiri or Oshidashi immediately out of the ring. Something is clearly bothering Okinoumi. Bruce actually brought up that Okinoumi, apparently, I didn't know this, apparently has like a history of some like pelvic issues that can only be solved with surgery. So maybe we're seeing that brought up a little bit at this point, which is bad luck for Okinoumi, as he had been looking decent in the Joy the past couple of basho, but looks like he's going to be booted fairly far down the Bansuke after this.
Yeah, we all know how injuries that can only be solved by surgery are treated in the sumo world. You pretend they are not real.
Yeah.
My arm isn't broken. This just looks a little funny, that's all.
No, your arm's broken.
And I think something that could be in contention for disappointment of the year once we get to the GSB awards, Taro no Fuji's return to the Makuuchi division. He is 0-5. He has faced the Koto onslaught and got completely destroyed by all of them, as he has faced all 5 Kotos in his first 5 matches. But he is 0-5, and he just doesn't look like he has it in him. He doesn't have the lower body strength, the bottom power, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, how does that meme go?
Power of the bottom. Yeah. Do you think Teruto Fuji's a guy who he's just going to try to stick it out and try to turn around? Do you think maybe he pulls out, cuts his losses, tries again in Juryo? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It's going to be interesting of where, like, I think he definitely was like in form enough to like be kicking butt in Juryo, but I think he's just kind of been like just a reminder of how tough Makuuchi is, and I think he's just kind of getting handed to him. It will be interesting. I think he's still going to stick it out, because I haven't seen too much on injury. I think he's just getting outplayed at the moment, and this might be just an off basho, and maybe the next one's when he's actually going to bring it after getting the experience of Makuuchi again.
I would counter that 3 of these guys he faced in the last tournament, even in Juryo. and it looks like he went 2-1 against Kotoyuki, Koto Eiko, and Koto Shoho, which leads me to believe that, yeah, granted, Koto no Waka and Koto Shogaku were already in the top division here, but I guess I'm kind of countering the point that I don't think it's a gap between the two divisions, because 3 out of those 5 guys he just faced and did okay. So that makes me lean towards something is wrong with him individually. And it's not super obvious physically just watching him, but I don't know. I guess at this point I would put a little bit of money on a hidden injury somewhere. That's
a really good point. Good eye.
Yeah, and I think Bruce noted it in his write-ups as well. You can kind of see it in Teruno Fuji's face that he knows something isn't quite right.
Mm.
So let's talk about the rest of the Sanyaku guys. We've hit on most of them already, but Fleric, I want you to tell us about the 3-2 Shodai and how he is doing so far in this tournament.
It's awful, Basho. He just had to go 0-5. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's 3-2. It's impressive. He's winning, but I'm not happy about it.
I think it's important to note he hasn't gone up against any of the Sanyaku Rikishi yet. It's all against Maegashira 2 and 3. But I mean, a guy like Endo, who he has beaten, he has a good head-to-head record against Endo, 5-3 now. But Endo's consistently a Sanyaku level kind of guy. Onosho he beat, and Onosho has beaten Hakuho in this tournament. So maybe not the most impressive of wins, and losing to Takato Fuji and Kagayaki isn't the best. So maybe it's the most Shodai kind of basho we could expect.
Just random wins of where he shouldn't win, and random losses when he should win. That sounds about right.
And then we also have Daisho, who is also 3-2, and I think well on his way to his 11th straight 8-7 basho.
Sounds about right for Daisho. Very on brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talked about it at the top of this episode, where the Gyoji Shinpan kind of getting the rust off their belts. Where do you get the rust off? When you knock the rust off, where are you knocking it from?
Like the wheel wells? The fenders?
That's a bonus episode for another day. We'll do a deep dive in where you knock the rust off of.
I bet, knowing your dad, I bet he's got several expressions for this.
I'm sure my dad knows, yeah. 100%.
He has expressions for every single situation.
I'll follow up on him. We'll get him on a call and have a bonus episode with my dad.
Yeah. Some homie folkisms. That's a bonus episode he could do in his sleep.
Yeah, when I saw my dad yesterday, socially distanced, saw my dad yesterday, he said, "I saw your Nacho Bacho video," and was a little concerned.
He actually said Nacho Bacho?
Yeah, Nacho Bacho.
That's awesome.
That's enough about my dad. Let's talk about Kaisei.
No, we like your dad.
I love my dad, of course. I don't know that the people listening to this need to hear more about my dad.
He's an amazing darts player. He kicks our ass every year.
Well, I mean, we only play once a year, but once again,
he still beats us.
Moving on to Kaisei. So we talked about the Gyojin Shippan and their mono-ease. Kaisei has had mono-ease called in 4 of his matches, which includes 2 in one day and 2 straight days with a Tori Naoshi rematch. So Kaisei's current record is 2-3. His record, if no mono-ease were called in this basho, would be 1-4. And the record of all of his matches is 3-4, because Kaisei has already wrestled in 7 matches through 5 days. And we already went through the whole rigmarole with Ishira, but I think it's just kind of funny how all of this just lands on one guy.
I think it's because he is the size of a planet. So it is difficult to see the details when the whole is large enough that it's got things orbiting around it.
There's more of him, so there's a lot more that's a lot closer to the ground at all times, and so it just always makes it seem like he's a lot closer to being out when he actually is.
That's got to be it.
Yeah. We've touched on Tochinoshin a little bit, but let's dive a little bit deeper into his performance so far, which isn't good. unfortunately. He only has one win against the aforementioned Kaisei, and there was no Monui in that match, a rarity for Kaisei this basho. But he is not looking good. He doesn't seem to be able to get his like double outside grip where he can lift people up. If he does get the grip, it doesn't seem like he's getting the power to follow through. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see Toji Noshin in this state. What do you guys think? There's any chance for him to turn it around at all?
The ship's going down, and it's going down fast.
Exactly. More of the same, unfortunately. It'll be whether or not he can stop the flow for a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe once all these Kotos come up, he can do away with them and pad that stats there.
Yeah, it's just it's I don't know. We've talked about it in the past about how he's just kind of hanging on and trying to slow his descent, but it's still a descent, and not doing a whole lot to slow things down this time at 1-4.
All right, so I'm going to open it up to you guys at this point. Is there anybody else we haven't touched on yet that you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I got one. This, I didn't really even notice it until we saw it in Bruce's write-up on Tachiai, but on day one, Ryuden came into the dohyo with some floppy fronds. The sagari that he was wearing, like the sticks coming out of the bottom of the mawashi. In the top division, or I guess the top two divisions, when you're a sekitori, they are stiffened, so that it's more like a stick. But in the lower divisions, below Juryo, they're just pieces of rope. So it was. Yeah, going back and checking that out again, it was kind of strange. Like I'd never seen somebody in the top division have floppy fronds like that. But Bruce has some sources that say he was actually wearing Shobushi's sagari. Shobushi, the wrestler who passed away just recently from COVID. So apparently he snuck that one in and just had a tribute to his former stablemate. And I thought that was really cool. Yes,
Shobushi was Ryuden's Tsukebito.
Class act. Well done, Ryuden.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm just kind of assuming that he had to sneak that in because I feel like that's the kind of thing that he would probably have to take the initiative on his own to do.
Yeah, very nice tribute to his fallen, I'm sure, friend. Anybody else? Anybody wanted to talk about?
Well, I didn't want to go two in a row if somebody else had something, but Wakataka Kage losing in the top division? What is that?
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how you can explain it other than possibly Yaucho.
Yes.
Match fixing. But maybe our read on Wakataka Kage's first tournament in the Makuuchi division was all wrong, where he started
No, come on.
You shut your mouth, sir.
I'm just struggling to justify how this has happened. Maybe it's got to be like the lack of the fans. It's just thrown him off his game. Once we're back to a full stadium, then we'll see. He feeds off the power of the people. He really is a man of the people.
A walking spirit bomb.
Yes. And so once there's more people where he can leech their energy, he will become the unbeatable machine we know him to be.
And just like Terano Fuji, he has faced absolutely no one who isn't a Koto.
The Waka's fighting the Kotos. I can see how this is going to be.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody's taken a full sweep of the Kotos yet, but I think a few more people may have an opportunity for it.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see that. We'll keep an eye out on everybody who's done the full Koto this basho. Anything else before we move on to our last couple of segments?
I'm good.
All right. So let's just do a quick update on our prediction series, our Champ Chump selections. I am currently in the lead as I had Hakuho as my champ and Kiri Bayama as my chump, followed up by Fleric, who had Mitake Yumi as his champ and Kotoyuki as his chump.
Bye.
The fans are in third place. They had Takakeisho as their champ and Shodai as their chump. So those two guys aren't really doing good in either of those positions, which shows you how bad Jake and Mac were at choosing their champs and chumps.
Just awful.
Jake is in fourth place. He had Kakuryu as his champ and Kagayaki as his chump. And Mac with the worst pick so far in last place. Asanoyama as his champ, but Taka no show with a total of -2 points
You
as his
brand
chump.
new jerk. How dare you? Actually, no, I've been impressed with Taka no show.
Yeah, but he's losing you points though because he's doing okay and especially because he got the Kinboshi. I think that's where like the penalty came from,
Yeah, no,
right?
that's when the penalty kicked in. But no, despite that, I love seeing a new guy do well. I mean, it was one of those I had pegged him. I thought, he's not quite ready for that next level. Obviously, proving me wrong. Hey, I love to be proven wrong. It happens all the time. In this case, I am happy it's with a new guy like Taka no show. I'm hopeful that he continues forward and actually does well with his career.
Yeah,
No, that's a complete lie. I hope he falls. Fall.
I'm just hoping here that Asanoyama takes the Yusho and Kakuryu drops out. That way I can lose and the rest of the team will be spared Max knock jokes.
Oh, Jake, what are you talking about? Just because I've got, 2 pages worth at this point. Come on.
Come on, Kakuryu. It's not worth it. Pull out.
No. I got some real doozies this time.
Oh, Lord.
I think I mentioned that we were going to talk about Takanosho a little bit, and we've talked about him sporadically, but I don't think we ever sat down and just hit on what he's done so far in his first 5 days. So day 1, beat Asanoyama. Day 2, beat Mitakayumi. Day 3, got the Kinboshi, beat Kakuryu. Day 4, lost to Hakuho. That's just going to happen. And then day 5 followed up that loss to Hakuho with a win over Daisho. So he is 4-1 in his first tournament in the Joy, and all of his wins are against people in the Sanyaku ranks. So he's just going to have an easier schedule as it goes on. Don't know if he can keep up this pace, but a very impressive start for Takanosho.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.
Pretty cool that he and Kiribayama, the 2 prospects up in the Joy that we were looking at. I think it's kind of interesting how things are going very differently for the 2 of them.
Yes. But I think that will kind of bleed into our lightning round as we talk about who has impressed you the most. And I'm going to start with me for once and take the easy, the low-hanging fruit. Takanosho has impressed me the most.
Why?
I mean,
you
come
can
up with
choose
another
it
one.
too. It's just more boring.
I already have. I sang his praises in the last segment.
All right, Mac, who has impressed you the most?
I don't need to say. Move on.
Was it Takanosho?
Yeah, move on. Yes.
All right, Fleric, who has impressed you the most? It's okay if it's Takanosho.
Yeah. It's mostly the 4 points, but it's also great to see Mitakayumi doing pretty well. But Mitakayumi's been impressed me. I'm loving it.
All right, and Jake?
Just to pick somebody that nobody else has said, I think it's really cool that Ishira is 5-0 at his career high rank. Good for him.
Yep. And conversely, we'll start with Jake on this one. Who has disappointed you the most?
Well, Kageyaki keeps winning when I pick him to not win, so that sucks. But no, I think my real answer will be Terano Fuji. I was really, really jazzed to have him back, and 0-5 just totally sucks.
What about you, Mac?
For me, I'm going to have to go with Takakeisho on this. We know he can do better than this. I'm at a loss as to why he's failing, and that's just it. I'm struggling to find reasons, looking back in his performance, looking back at his health. I'm like, what could it have been that is affecting him so poorly? It just baffles me. So, Takakeisho, come on, man, get together.
How about you, Fleric? Who is disappointing you the most?
It's not because my personal vendetta, but it's for the fans who pick Shodai as your chump. Shodai, just accept who you are and stop doing so good.
Fleric, like Wakataka Kage, is a man of the people. The person who's disappointed me the most so far, and I'm surprised we actually didn't get to him, but Enho is only 1-4 so far in this basho. Typically used to seeing him be around 500 for the entirety of a tournament, so hopefully he can turn it around, string together some wins, but kind of been disappointing to see Enho get thrown around like a man of his size should be. Fleric, what has been your favorite match of the basho so far?
All right, I think it was the one on day 2 for me. That was Ishira versus Tamawashi. Mostly because Tamawashi just coming off of getting that Kotanage, and to kind of use Bruce's description on that, it was in the what's in this guy's Chanko department comes that ass-kicking throw Ishira produced that sent Tamawashi to the clay. The match shifted from run and gun to Ishira having a grip, loading a throw and pivoting in a blink of the eye, sending him to the ground. So I think that was my favorite match because it was a nice good revenge after Tamawashi took out another elbow.
All right, I think I'll go next and say my favorite match of the basho so far has been Takayasu versus Shohozon, and I'm gonna go with Bruce's words on this as well, as he can describe a match much better than any of us ever could. So Takayasu delivered a right shoulder blast to Shohozon's face, and the two immediately began trading windmill blows to each other's upper bodies, which I don't know if there's anything in sumo I love more than two guys just slapping each other in the upper chest and face portion for a good second or two. Shohozon was getting the worst of the punishment and went left hand inside, taking Takayasu to his chest, but Shohozon managed to latch onto Takayasu's left hand, twisting and pinning the injured arm to his belly. An attempt at a pull down from Shohozon freed up Takayasu's left hand, and his lethal weapon found its mark. Trapped in a giant hairy battle hug, Shohozon twisted and writhed to find any escape, but Takayasu advanced with power to put him over the bales. So yeah, just a nice little back and forth intense match between the two. I think that was the one that we saw the most excitement from in this tournament. Jake, how about you? What was your favorite match so far?
I'm gonna say Ishira Kaisei, mainly because I'm positive that
Which
is
one?
Yeah, exactly. I'm positive that matchup is going to be the one matchup I remember more than any other from the first 5 days here. Having a rematch, having a double mono E is, I have never seen that before, and we probably won't again. It's just ridiculous and hilarious.
All right. And Mac, your favorite match of the basho so far?
Couldn't agree with you more, Jake. At day 5, Kaisei versus Ishira. Just, wow, what the heck happened here?
All right. And we will start with Mac on this one. It is day 5. We have discussed all of the leaders and who we buy and sell on. But at this point, if you had to bet your house on any one of these guys, who is your way too early Yusho pick?
Way too early Yusho pick. I like how you did that one there. In this case, I'd have to go with Hakuho. The man's still in the tournament. He's 4-1. Granted, Ishira is top at 5-0. Hakuho, yeah, got to go with him.
Yeah,
how about
is
you, Claire?
Is Hakuho still on the in the basho?
He is.
Oh, okay, Hakuho.
Jake?
Even if he was mathematically eliminated, I would still pick Hakuho.
Yeah, I don't think there's any arguments that you can make against Hakuho besides that Oh No Show match. And I don't know, maybe we'll see something where Hakuho picked up like an injury in that match. He loses one and then drops out immediately. But
how about you, Ryan?
Oh no, I'm 100% going with Hakuho.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying there's ways that Hakuho couldn't win this, but I don't think any of us believe that Ishira's traps can carry him to a 14-1 or 15-0 record to win this basho. Ooh, but what if they did? What if Ishira went 14-1, Hakuho went 14-1, and we get to see those two face off in a playoff, the only time they would ever be able to face off in the same turn or in a tournament?
Well, you know that Tokusho won a Yusho, so anything's possible.
Son of a bitch.
You're right. Nishikigi could win this.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, with that being said, that is going to wrap up our recap of the first 5 days of the Natso Basho. The Nacho Bacho.
Nacho Bacho.
We will have another recap coming up to talk about days 6 through 10, where we'll have a better idea of what the Yusho race is going to be going into our final stretch. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Our blog is grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com, where we will be posting results in addition to on our Twitter feed.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
This is the part where I usually tell you about the next episodes that you can expect from us, but I literally did that before we did our little wrap-up thing.
Get it together, Ryan.
Yeah,
It's going to be our day 6 through 10 Midway basho. So Midway wrap up. So we will see you in 5 more days.
What do you do when they can't make sumo? You get your friends together and you fake some sumo. Hey, 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 hey. It's the not so basho. Not so basho, basho, yeah, yeah. Not so basho. Not so basho, yeah.